Hello guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. In today's tutorial, we're going to be crocheting a very beautiful knit look cardigan, and I'll be teaching you guys how to customize this into whatever size that you would like to make this for. So now let's get into materials. So for materials, I'll be making use of this 5-ply milk cotton yarn, and I'll be doubling mine to achieve a chunky yarn. So you can make use of whatever yarn that you have available, and if you want to achieve the same look as my cardigan and you don't want to double your yarn, just go ahead and buy a chunky yarn. You will also be needing 2 crochet hook, a 7mm hook and a 6mm hook. Measuring tape. This is very important so that you can get your perfect fit. And of course, scissors. Now let's get into the tutorial. So guys, before you begin, you would need to take the measurement for the length of your cardigan. To do that, place your measuring tape from your shoulder blade down to wherever you want your cardigan to stop. So for me, I'll be going for a cropped look. By taking your measurement, you can customize yours to be longer or shorter than my own cardigan. So once you've gotten that measurement, you're going to make a slip knot, like so. And you would add 4 inches to whatever measurement that you got, because after you make about 2 to 3 rows, the length is going to shrink. So I'm aiming to get 17 inches in length, so I'm going to make a total number of chains that measure up to 21 inches. So guys, I'm done with mine. I did a total of 60 chains and this measures 21 inches. So now you're going to chain 1 extra, and after you've done that, skip the last chain you just made and go into the next chain with a slip stitch. To do a slip stitch, insert your hook into the next chain, then yarn over and pull through. Now you're going to pull the second loop into your first loop, and that's how to make a slip stitch. So you're going to make 1 slip stitch into each of the chains till you have 8 chains remaining. So I've made my slip stitches till I have 8 chains remaining. Now if you're an absolute beginner and you want your work to be very easy for you, I'd advise that you place a stitch marker on the last stitch. Now you're going to go in with your 7mm hook, and we'll continue making our slip stitches like normal. So I've made 8 slip stitches extra. This is going to be the base of our cardigan. So now chain up 1 and turn your work. And we're going to be working in the back loop for this row. So skip this chain 1 you just made and go into the next stitch, the back loop of the next stitch, with a slip stitch. So this is the back loop. And you're going to make 1 slip stitch into the back loop of each stitch till you get to the stitch where you placed your stitch marker. I've done my slip stitches till I got to the stitch where I placed my stitch marker, and I have a total of 8 slip stitches made. Now switch over to your 6mm hook. We are going to repeat the same thing that you did here. Place one slip stitch into the back loop of each stitch till you get to the end of the row. Remove your stitch marker and place it into the very first slip stitch that you made with your 6mm hook. So I've worked till I have one stitch remaining. I just want to show you guys how to finish up this row. So you're going to do the same thing that you've been doing. Identify the back loop of your last stitch. This is mine, and insert your hook and make a slip stitch. And that's it for row 2. Now for row 3, chain up one, and you're going to turn your work. And we're going to repeat what we did in row 2. So skip the chain 1 that you made and go into the back loop of the next stitch and make a slip stitch. You're going to make one slip stitch into the back loop of each stitch till you get to where you placed your stitch marker. So I've worked till I got to my stitch marker. So I'm going to remove my stitch marker and place my last slip stitch. In total, I have 52 slip stitches made, and I have 8 stitches remaining on this row. So chain up one, and you're going to turn your work, and we'll be making our slip stitches into the back loop of each stitch till we get to the end of the row, like normal. So I've made my slip stitch till I got to the very last stitch. Now we're going to go ahead and make row 5. Now for row 5, chain up one. You're going to turn your work and skip the chain that you just made, go into the next stitch with a slip stitch. Remember to work in the back loop. So make one slip stitch into the back loop of each stitch till you get to the very first stitch on row 4, which is here. So I worked till I got to the first stitch on row 4, which is this. And now I'm going to place my slip stitch in the back loop of the last stitch. So now switch back to your 7mm hook. And you're going to do something a bit different. So if you start your work now, you notice that there is a tiny bump close to the first stitch we made in row 4, which is our last stitch here, which is the chain 1 we made as our starting chain. So you're going to kind of use your hand to tuck this out a bit. You can actually insert your crochet hook into it, but I find this process quite easy and fast. Now insert your hook into that bump and into the back loop of the next stitch here. We are now working on the base of the cardigan. So yarn over and you're going to pull through all of the loops on your hook. So from here onwards, we're going to go back to making our normal slip stitch at the back loop till we get to the very last stitch on this row. So to make the work easy for you, it's preferable that you place your stitch marker on the very first stitch that you made with your 8mm hook. I'm done with row 5. Now for row 6, chain up 1 and turn your work. So we're going to repeat the stitch pattern, skip the chain that you just made and make a slip stitch into the back loop of the very first stitch. So you're going to continue working with your 7mm hook till you have 8 slip stitches made for your base. So for me, I'll make my slip stitches till I get to where I placed my stitch marker. So once you have your 8 slip stitches made, switch back to your 6mm hook and continue the stitch pattern like normal. So place your stitch marker into the very first stitch you made with your 6mm hook to make your work easier. So continue your stitch pattern like normal till you get to the end of your row. So guys, I'm done with row 6 and this is how it looks like. So from here onwards, you're going to go ahead and repeat from row 3 to row 6 till you get to your desired measurement for your size. So I'll be leaving the measurement for each size on the screen. Take into consideration that the measurements are for an oversized fit. So if you want a more snug fit, I would advise that you downsize. So let's say you're a large, you would probably use the measurement of a medium or a small. Okay, so just do this and we'll meet to make the neckline for the front panel of our cardigan. So guys, I'm done with mine. I did a total of 49 rows and this is perfect for me. It measures 10 inches. So now let's make the neckline. Now for the neckline, I ended at the row 5 repeat. So now I'm going to go ahead and make my row 6 repeat with a little adjustment, which I will let you guys know. So now I'm going to go in with my 6mm hook and I'll make my slip stitches like normal till I have 5 stitches remaining. So I've worked till I have 5 stitches remaining. Chain up 1 and turn your work. And you're going to repeat whatever row pattern that you're on. So for me, I'm on row 3 repeat. So just repeat the row pattern you're on. So I'm done with my row 3 repeats. Now for the remainder of the neckline, we are going to repeat what we did here. So it's very simple. Just make your row repeats like normal. But when you're working up from the base to the top of your beanie, you will skip 5 stitches on this side like we did for here. But when you're working from the top of the cardigan down to the base, you would work your row repeats like normal. So let's do it one more time. So I'll chain up 1 and I would make my row 4 repeats. So since I'm going up, I would make my slip stitches till I have 5 stitches remaining on this side. So I have worked till I have 5 stitches remaining from the previous row. So for the next row of the neckline, I will chain up 1 and just do the next row repeats like normal. And for me, that would be row 5 repeats. So just repeat the pattern like normal till you get to the desired number of rows for your size. So guys, I'm done with my neckline. Now we're going to make one more row to kind of make this part smooth, similar to what we do for the bottom of the cardigan. So just repeat the pattern for whatever row repeats that you're on till you get to the first bump here. So I'm on row 6 pattern repeat. Once you get to the last stitch here, you're going to repeat what we've been doing for the base. So just tug out the tiny bump like normal and insert your hook. Then go into the next stitch, pull through all the loops on your hook. So you're just going to repeat this like normal. Make your slip stitches in the back loop till you get to the last stitch before the bump. Then you tug out this tiny bump by the side, insert your hook, and insert your hook into the next stitch. Then pull through. So just repeat that till you get to the very last stitch here. So guys, I have worked till I got to my very last stitch here, and this is how it looks like. Now chain up 1 and fasten off. And now you're going to go ahead and make another panel exactly like this. This is mine. So once you're done with both of your front panels, you need to make your back panel. And now the back panel is worked in the normal stitch pattern. So for the back panel, you just have to repeat what you did for the front panel without the neckline area basically. And to determine the total number of rows that you should make, you're going to multiply the number of rows you made for one of your front panel by 2. I did a total of 61 rows for my front panel, and for my back panel I did a total of 122 rows. And you would need to make 2 panels exactly like how you made your front panel, without the neckline of course, for the sleeves. And you would need to make 2 sleeves. So for the sleeves, my foundation chain was a total of 70 chains plus 1. And I did a total of 94 rows for each of my sleeves. And the width and length measures 18 inches. So you can make yours longer and you can make yours wider or smaller, depending on how you want your sleeve to be. So now we would have to attach the cardigan together, and the first part we'll be attaching is the front panels to the back panel, which is very easy. So I'll attach one of the front panels to the back panel first. To do that, flip your work like this. So I'm going to attach the top of the front panel to the top of the back panel with my darning needle. So pass your darning needle into one of your panels. I'll be passing mine into my front panel and leave a little tail here. And now pass it into the second panel. You're going to tie it to secure. So once you've done that, you're going to start sewing both panels up. So this is how your cardigan should look like. Now we're going to attach the sleeves. To do that, open up your work like this, and you're going to identify the middle of your sleeve. This is mine. Once you've done that, divide your sleeve by 2. Mine is 18 inches. So 18 inches divided by 2 is 9 inches. I'm going to measure 9 inches on my back and front panel. So I'll place my stitch marker here. So you can count the amount of stitches you skip here and skip the same amount of stitches for here as well. Or you can take the measurements of your back panel. Whatever works for you. So guys, I'm done placing my stitch marker on both my front and back panel. Now attach the middle of your sleeve to the middle of your front and back panel. That's the part you attached both your front and back panel. So we're going to start sewing from one side. We'll sew from the very first stitch marker here to the middle and to the last stitch marker. Align your work and start sewing. Once you get to the end, tie. Hide your loose end before you cut. So now fold your work into 2. And now you're going to sew from the bottom here, that's the bottom of your cardigan, all the way down to the sleeve. I'll do mine and I'll show you guys how it looks when I'm done with mine. We're going to work on the border of the front panel. And to do that, you would have to identify where you'd like to place your buttonhole. This is important if you would love to button up your cardigan. But if you don't have any intention of making use of buttons, you can skip this process. So I would like to place my buttons from the arc here to the bottom, and I will be placing 3 buttons on my cardigan. So you can just eyeball it and place your stitch marker at where you want to place your buttons. So once you've identified where you'd like to place your buttonhole, we're going to start working on the border. So now for the border, you're going to attach your yarn into the back loop of the last stitch here. You can tie it to secure. And now chain up 5. So you're going to skip the last chain you made and place 1 slip stitch into the remaining 4 chains. And once you've made your 4 slip stitches, go back to the bottom of your cardigan and you're going to slip stitch into the back loop of the next chain. Then go into the next chain and make another slip stitch. Now turn your work. And you're going to skip those 2 slip stitches you just made and go into the next slip stitch and make a slip stitch in the back loop. Now you're going to make 1 slip stitch into the back loop of the remaining 3 stitches. And now chain up 1 and turn your work. And we're going to repeat what we did for row 1. Now you're going to make 1 slip stitch into the next 4 stitches. Remember to work in the back loop only. Once you have your 4 slip stitches made, you're going to repeat row 2. So go into the back loop of the next 2 stitches here with a slip stitch. And now we're going to repeat row 3, turn your work, skip the 2 slip stitches you just made and go into the remaining 4 stitches with a slip stitch. So guys, I've worked till I got to where I placed my first stitch marker, and I'm going to teach you guys how to create the buttonhole. So regardless of whatever row repeat you're on, the only difference is that we're going to skip the second stitch. So if you're working from bottom to top, you'll skip the 3rd stitch, and if you're working from top to bottom, you'll skip the 2nd stitch. So if you're making use of a bigger button, I would advise that you skip 2 stitches. If you're making use of a smaller button, I would advise that you skip 1 stitch. So to do that, chain up 1 and make your slip stitches like normal. I'm working from top to bottom, so I'll be skipping the 2nd stitch. Now to do that, chain up 1. If you're skipping 2 stitches, chain up 2. Then skip the next stitch and go into the next with your slip stitch like normal. And in total you should have 4 stitches on this row, with the chain 1 here counting as a stitch. Then remove your stitch marker and continue the pattern like normal. So now I'm going to teach you guys how to work around the neckline. So now to work around the neckline area, then I'll make my row 3 repeats of the pattern. Now I have 1 stitch remaining still on this side, so I'll make my slip stitch into the back loop of that stitch. Then I'll turn my work and come directly to the back panel, and I'll insert my hook into the next stitch here. This is where we attached, and make a slip stitch, then continue the pattern repeat like normal. So I'm going to show you guys how to do this one more time. So just go about your row repeat like normal. So I've worked my way down. Now go into the next stitch, which is here, and make a slip stitch, and into the next stitch, insert your hook and make a slip stitch like normal, and then we'll continue with the pattern repeat. So guys, you're going to repeat this till we get to the edge here, because the top of this is different from the top of the sides, and when you start working on the sides, you do the same thing that we did here. So you will just do your pattern repeat without giving any space for buttonhole. And I'll do mine off camera and show you guys how it looks. So that's it for our cardigan. Go ahead and attach your buttons directly opposite where you created your buttonholes. And we've come to the end of the tutorial. So hide your loose ends, and I'm going to see you guys in another tutorial. And in the next tutorial, I'll be teaching you guys how to attach this cute bow design to the cardigan. If you found this video helpful, please hit the like button and subscribe to my YouTube channel. For now, bye, and see you guys in another tutorial soon.